Hello, my fellow Muppeteers. It is good to see you again. And we're going to do something a little different today. I don't normally do these types of videos, but I talked about how I'd rather celebrate your culture rather than shit on my own, because I know that we have a lot of flaws over here, and I'd rather watch stuff that highlights, you know, the UK or Ireland and how the great things that you guys do over there. But so after I thought about that, I was like, well, you know, let me try one. Let me try it. Because I have done a couple of them before. But I figured this might answer some questions for me as well. It's called How America Got So Stupid. And yes, I tend to avoid the videos where it's like, look at how stupid these Americans are in you know, these compilation videos that people put together. And the main reason I don't do them is because I know. I have them as, I live here. They're my neighbors. I know. Okay? And I'm not much smarter than they are. But, you know, living, you know, in this country, you know, you see it every day. So I don't need to watch a compilation of my fellow Americans embarrassing us, you know. But this one, How America Got So Stupid, maybe this will answer some questions and we can move on with this. All right, here we go. Let's check it out.
You want to know how I got this dislike ratio? I make a video praising the Soviet Union and nobody bats an eye. I make a video praising the United States and everybody loses their minds.
Okay, fine. I hear you. You only want to hear things that confirm what you already believe. I get it. Let's talk about why Americans are stupid.
Okay, maybe it's going to be a little different than I thought. That's pretty wild. Okay, so this is brought to you by, I should have said this at the beginning. This video is by BritMonkey, who has 500,000 subs. So, and this video has a ton of, almost 10 million views from just 2 years ago. So, anyway, you gotta plug BritMonkey here. I might have to check out his stuff on my own. But that's crazy. You make a video about the Soviet Union, and it's like everybody loves it. And then you make a... What did that say?
Everybody loses their mind.
Hold on,
I make a video praising the Soviet Union and nobody bats an eye. I make a...
America could be a utopia. Stress on the could. But, yeah. I guess that didn't go over well with him, man. Anyway.
Video praising the United States and everybody loses their minds.
Okay, fine. I hear you. You only want to hear things that confirm what you already believe. I get it. Let's talk about why Americans are stupid. There's a famous episode of the Jimberly Kimberly live show where clueless residents of Los Angeles fail to name a single country.
Is it South Africa?
Yeah, I've seen this.
The country of Asia?
Greenland or Iceland or something?
Although these are no doubt cherry-picked, and I'm sure if you stood in a big city all day and shoved a camera in people's faces and asked them questions, you'd be able to find 3 minutes worth of people who couldn't answer on the spot.
Miss, for $1, name a woman.
Name a woman?
Yeah.
But the stereotype that Americans are ignorant about the wider world is largely true. These people can't name a country because they don't care about other countries. 40% of Americans have a passport, compared to 66% of Canadians and 76% of Brits. In 1994, it was only 10% of Americans. But that doesn't mean Americans have gotten more globe-trotting since then. It was because after an above-average episode of the news, it became mandatory to need a passport when entering Canada and Mexico. So it's fair to say that a very small percent of Americans will be leaving this corner of the world.
A lot of Americans, at least the ones that have money anyway, a lot of them like to... This actually, my mouse never shows up in this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm circling the Caribbean. Most Americans say Caribbean. I say Caribbean. I think that's how you guys say it as well, maybe. But a lot of Americans like to vacation in the Caribbean. Myself included. I love the Caribbean. I've been to, but my one spot, it's actually more off the coast of Venezuela. I like to go to Aruba. That's been my family's go-to spot whenever we have some money saved up. So I do that a lot. So that is a thing. Or just take vacations within the United States itself. A lot of people. I live in a state where in Florida, a lot of people from other states vacation here, especially during the wintertime. Usually from northern states where it gets very cold. So in the wintertime, they come down here for a few weeks or sometimes even a few months. But anyway, and it's a lot cheaper to vacation within the country. So Europe, another factor here with, I feel like a lot of Americans would like to vacation in Europe more. But the plane tickets itself, I've a plane ticket for someone from the UK to Italy or Greece or something, I would imagine it's under £100, right? But a plane ticket for an American to go to Europe these days is insane. It's close to $1,000. So that's keeping them from doing it as well. Anyway, sorry for the long pause. I'll try not to pause as much during this. Here we go.
As I said in a previous video, America has all you'd ever want geographically within her borders. Why go anywhere else? The foreign cultures, maybe? Americans don't care about that either. On the list of the highest grossing movies in the USA, you have to go all the way to 520th place to get a movie that isn't American. It's Crouching Tiger, Hidden
How
Dragon.
did I fucking know it was gonna be Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? I fucking knew it was gonna be that. That was fucking... didn't it win an Oscar or something? I don't know, because that was from the late 90s or the year 2000 or something. Close to around, I can't remember when it came out.
By the way, couldn't even beat The Nutty Professor. Somebody please check up on Ang Lee. I think he might have killed himself. Neither do global affairs hold the average American's interest. When asked about the Kyoto Climate Accords, who the Taliban are, or who Nicolas Sarkozy is, Americans are woefully underinformed compared to other developed nations. In 2009, only half knew that last year's Olympics were held in Beijing. Oh, but of course, when asked to name American celebrities, they had no trouble at all. At the same time, we non-Americans are flooded with American culture. Some British people know more about American politics and history than their own.
Once you're dropped into the trench, depth, or the z-axis is...
It's z-axis, you floppy-haired moron. France had to pass laws banning radio stations from playing too much American music.
I got into an argument with Craig, if he's watching this. I said Z, and he literally just he went apeshit on me. He was like, "It's fucking Zed. It's Zed, you fucking yank." And I thought it was hilarious.
There are only 2 countries in the world where Coca-Cola is not sold. Wait, scratch that. This journalist from Finland bought a Coke at a water park in Pyongyang in 2017. And what's this hiding in the background of somebody's holiday snaps at the National Hotel de Cuba? Look, you know something's up when remote tribesmen in the Amazon rainforest who don't even have electricity know who Michael Jackson is. Americans used to be quite well read. After the Second World War, Americans consumed 63% of all the newspapers in the world, and they used this to their advantage. In 1948, the new...
I think that's because we printed the most, not because we're known for liking to read, I can't even talk.
The formed United Nations created a list of human rights that all countries should strive to uphold. One area that Americans were particularly interested in was this one, Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of expression and opinion, and receive and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. What the USA wanted was a completely level playing field. Anyone can buy any media from any other country. A global free market of ideas, released from the shackles of censorship. For if anyone can gain access to the truth, we cannot be marched into the same kind of ignorance and intolerance that characterized the Axis nations of the war. This is admirable. Freedom of speech is a core value of the United States and many other allied nations. But some delegates, like those from India, questioned the US's motives. If you believe in an equal access to information and culture, shouldn't you redistribute some of your media creating capacity to developing nations like ours, so that we have an equal opportunity to tell the world our stories? The Americans would not budge. Of course, they knew deep down that India was right. The American delegation to the convention was highly populated by journalists and media magnates. They knew that if countries couldn't afford their own news, they would be increasingly reliant on buying news from American wire companies like the Associated Press, which was good for both the media companies' profits, but also the US State Department, who would no doubt have been licking their lips at the prospect of 1 billion people reading news with a specific American spin on it.
That's very interesting. This video just got very interesting.
In 1944, the Associated Press sold news to 38 countries. Within 8 years, that had doubled to 70 countries. In the 1950s, around half of films shown in European and Asian cinemas were American, 2/3 in Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina. Which makes sense. Americans made grand Technicolor films brimming with Hollywood sparkle because they could afford to. Whereas war-torn Europe, impoverished Mexico, and nuclear-obliterated Japan were stuck making small-scale comedies to keep up morale. One of the most popular French movies in 40s France was 1949's The Big Day, a mostly plotless movie where a whimsical French postman gets into wacky mischief in a quaint village. There just wasn't the money or resources for anything else. Hollywood captured the European public's imagination, and they wanted more. But why is
that was very interesting because I kind of knew that about the Hollywood stuff, but the actual like information that they get, you know, where it's kind of like outsourced with an American spin on it, that was very interesting. I feel like I had no idea about that.
Only a one-way street. Because while you can do or say whatever you want within the United States, the Constitution also says that the American government can regulate what goes in or out.
Yes.
During the Cold War, anything that might be considered communist propaganda could be seized by the post office and never delivered. Books or even souvenirs from communist countries, for example. Pamphlets criticizing US foreign policy. Immigration reached a low point in the early 70s, with only 4.7% of Americans being foreign-born, limiting Americans' interaction with different cultures. Obviously, it wasn't totally like North Korea. Plenty of foreign movies and music were allowed into the US. But the media that caught on was either already Americanized, or so plastically exotic that it doesn't really say anything about the culture where it's from. The Beatles were British, yes, but they got their start covering American rock and roll musicians. When John Lennon stepped out of line, the American government made sure that he knew it. Movies imported from Japan were mostly samurai flicks, and very few movies set in the modern day. The film Ikiru is widely considered the best Japanese film ever made, if you ignore people who have never felt the touch of a woman. But this existential drama about a depressed, lonely man was only given a...
Wait! It just shots fired at the people who like anime. Hold on.
Movies imported from Japan were mostly samurai flicks, and very few movies set in the modern day. The film Ikiru is widely considered the best Japanese film ever made, if you ignore people who have never felt the touch of a woman. But this existential drama about a depressed, lonely man was only given a limited release in California, and the poster was edited to feature a stripper who is only in the movie for like 1 minute. The narrow stream of European movies that made it into the USA came in the form of the French New Wave cinema, movies that were stylistically inspired by American films, but also so stuffy that few audiences would ever want to watch them anyway.
My sister probably has seen a bunch of those films. She's really into like the French cinema from like the 80s and 90s.
Qu'est-ce que ça peut te faire?
Ça ne va pas, non?
Non, rien. Je voulais dire cette phrase avec une idée précise. Je ne savais pas quelle était la meilleure façon d'exprimer cette idée. Ou plutôt, je le savais. Mais maintenant, je ne sais plus.
This was further stifled by the Hays Code, a set of extremely strict regulations that were in place from 1934 to 1968. If you've ever wondered why old black and white films seem so dry, it's because of these rules. Some things that were completely banned from ever being shown in any film included bad guys winning. All movies had to end with the police outwitting the evil criminals or the criminals causing their own demise.
Dude, I don't know what this says about me, but I absolutely love, even if it's not like that good of a movie, but I just love it when the bad guy wins. I don't know why. I don't know if that makes me an evil person myself, but I just feel like because it's so unexpected, like it never happens. So when it does happen, or the villain gets like some kind of victory out of it, to where it overall you feel like the villain got more, more of a victory than the hero did. I just find those stories so fascinating because, in American cinema anyway, like I feel like well over 95% of them, the good guys always win, So anyway, maybe I'm an evil person. I don't know.
Any nudity, even the silhouette of a booba, is an instant ban.
Boo!
Blood or dead bodies. When people get shot in old films, they usually just clutch the wound, but no actual blood is seen. Pointing a gun at somebody in the same frame. This is why guns are always held at waist height. Kissing for longer than 3 seconds. Interracial couples. White people as slaves. Criticism of religion or of any other country. Naturally, this prevented the more artistically liberal European films from being shown in American cinemas, and when they did get a US release, they were usually edited to remove the violence in movies and sex on TV to comply with the good old-fashioned values. At least until the rules were abolished in 1968 and replaced by the age rating system we have today.
And that's when the movies started getting really, really good. Yes.
Even as the Cold War ended and the internet gave Americans unparalleled access to the rest of the world and all of human knowledge, they still preferred to hang out on a handful of American-made websites dominated by Americans. The insular culture of 20th century America has carried over to the 21st. Tightened border security after Septiembre Undécimo means foreign musicians can have a hard time getting visas. In 2002, the touring visa of a German orchestra was cancelled after it was discovered the cellist had a criminal record for shoplifting a pair of tweezers in 1991. When they tried again for a visa in 2004, the cellist had to undergo an hour-long interview with Homeland Security and had to physically pick up his visa from the US Embassy.
That's a little overboard. Yes, I totally agree. But at the same time, it's like, and this has nothing to do with the musician himself, but like they really I had an experience when I went to Greece and then I came back to get back into my own country. I was interrogated for a good 2 minutes. And to get back in at the customs point, there was long lines, and they were all Americans, just to get back into our own country. There were these long lines, and they didn't move. Like, it probably took me about an hour and 15 minutes to get to the front of the line. It was moving that slow, and I got questioned for like 2 minutes. And I can't remember what she said, but Queen Boomer said something that like he gave her like a look and like stared at her for like a good 30 seconds, like, the fuck you just say, So I don't know. I think it's overboard, but I think it's also a consequence of 9/11. I think 9/11 has made that stuff permanent. Looks like we got a visitor here. Hello. Hi. You want to come here and give me a hug? Or no, you just want to climb that chair. Come here.
Kimmy, what are you doing?
Huh?
Yeah, look at that.
Goodbye. I love you. All right. Pardon the interruption there. But if she comes in here, I have to stop and acknowledge her. What she wants, because usually she wants something. It's usually just a hug or a kiss or just to go, hey, daddy. Anyway, back to the video.
Global cultures might be more present in American media, but they're always through the lens of American characters, such as The Last Samurai starring Tom Cruise, where he plays a white guy in 1870s Japan.
Not ashamed to
7
say
Years
I
in
love
Tibet,
this movie.
another American in China. Indiana Jones, American in Egypt. The Bourne Identity, American in France. Inglourious Bastards, Americans in German-occupied France. And for the ladies in the audience, Mamma Mia. For a movie set on a Greek island, there's not a single Greek person in the entire movie!
Queen Boomer loves Mamma Mia.
Is there any hope for America, or are they destined to be a stinky, dumb, redneck country forever?
Maybe.
Maybe. In 2000, 92% of the music in the USA Top 50 was American, making it the second most insulated market in the world after Pakistan. But today it's more like 60%, with Brits, Canadians, Latin Americans and Africans making themselves more seen in the charts. Each year there are more foreign films nominated at the Academy Awards than ever before. What used to be an American-only pay-to-win awards show is now an international pay-to-win awards show. Our social media platform...
But you still gotta pay! What did the $1 million man say? Everybody's got a price! Yeah.
Films have an element of randomness in what they show users. There is a higher chance of Americans being shown videos from other countries, forcing them to take note of what is happening. It seems the revolution
Well, TikTok's going to change drastically.
I've been giving the
very
impression
soon.
throughout this video that it's all or most Americans who are terminally uneducated. But American ignorance isn't as evenly distributed as you'd think. That study I mentioned earlier, when adjusting for English proficiency, income and education levels, Americans are really no different from their European counterparts, and in some cases, marginally smarter. Knowledge about the wider world, even...
I still find that hard to believe. As an American myself, I still find that hard to believe. Oh.
Education levels, Americans are really no different from their European counterparts, and in some cases, marginally smarter.
Shocking.
Knowledge about the wider world even correlates to political views, and not in the way that you'd think. A 2022 survey asked Americans 12 questions about the world, such as, who is the British Prime Minister? What does the Indian flag look like? And what this symbol represents? The people who answered the most questions correctly were committed Democrats and committed Republicans. Swing voters, those enlightened centrist chads, were the stupidest. Only...
Again, I'm catching strays. Oh God. Although I don't consider myself a swing voter, I consider myself I debate if I'm going to vote for a candidate because I always hate the candidates. Anyway, why am I picking this up? I already finished my wonderful Yorkshire tea. But yeah. I don't know. I feel attacked by
Democrats
that one.
and committed Republicans. Swing voters, those enlightened centrist chads, were the stupidest.
God damn it.
See, Boomer, that's why you need to join a team. 'Cause my team's the right one. We're always correct.
Only 40% of moderate Republicans could name the US Secretary of State, compared to 60% of convicted Republicans. Only half of moderate Democrats knew that the USMCA trade agreement replaced NAFTA, compared to 66% of convicted Democrats. Also, I just thought it was funny that the more Americans know about the European Union, the more favourable view they have of it. So are Americans ignorant? Many of them are, but it isn't their fault. It's a mix of geography, American imperialism, Cold War paranoia, moral puritanism, and economic factors that create a paradoxical nation that is both the most expansive empire, but also an informational prison of their own making. God bless you, stupid bastards.
Yo, man, that was a good video. I'm actually very surprised at what the contents of that video was. What the content of the video was. See? Just showing, I'm just another dumb American myself. Anyway, I really like that. I'm giving it a subscribe to BritMonkey because I want to check out more of his stuff later. But that is not how that video was gonna, not how I thought the video was gonna go. I didn't think it was gonna be like that. So the most interesting stuff to me was the, you know, how they distributed information from the United States to the rest of the world. Not necessarily with the film or the Hollywood stuff, but with just like newspapers. That was very interesting. That was something that I did not know. And there was a lot of stuff in this video that I didn't know. But I didn't think it was, you know, I thought this was going to be a, like, you know, 20% of it was substantive. God, I can't talk. I don't even know if that's a word, to be honest. And then the other 80% was just like, you know, shitting on how stupid we are. But I was very surprised. And I agreed with a lot of the stuff he said in here. So yeah, very well put together video. And he threw in a little bit of humor in there as well, which I appreciate. So good stuff. I really like this. And let me know in the comments what you thought of the video, because I have to check out more of BritMonkey's stuff, which I'm probably going to do as soon as I shut this video off. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Maybe that answered some questions that some people had. I don't know. But it certainly was informative for me. And that's all that matters. Me being one of the dumb Americans that you guys watch on a daily or weekly basis. I don't know how often you guys watch my reaction videos, but I appreciate you guys. So anyway, this Muppet is signing out. I will see you guys again soon. Have a lovely day and stay safe. Peace!